What a great leader we have at quarterback in Nicco Marchiol. He's working with one of the greatest leaders of all time in Tim Tebow on something very near and dear to my heart. Stick around and we'll talk about it.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is up? Welcome back in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host here. Welcome into Locked On West Virginia, baby. Well, we're talking about football again today. We're also talking about some off-the-field stuff. And I'll tell you what, man, it's a big deal to me. We'll get there in just a second. But Tim Tebow has stepped into the state of West Virginia to help with a project that the students are doing. And I'll explain what it is in just a second. We'll get there. We're also going to be talking about a few players that West Virginia is looking at in football that are coming up on visits or they're close to committing. We got a little bit of tape to watch here, so we'll break down those guys as well. Hope you're ready for a pretty cool show, man, because I don't get to do this very often, and it's something that means a lot to me. So let's jump right in. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by FanDuel, guys. And you know, right now, FanDuel is having a big event, and the playoffs are on, so they want to profit off of the playoffs. And you got to play to win, right? $5. You got to play that first $5 bet. If you win that, you get $200 in bonus bets. You can only do that at FanDuel.com to get started. All right, guys. So if you didn't see earlier today, Nicco Marchiol posted a picture of himself with Tim Tebow. There are more than just these two people helping with his event. I chose to hone in on Nicco because he's one of the headliners, as is Tim Tebow, in an event called GameChanger. It's a student-powered substance abuse, misuse prevention, really. It's to try to get in before it starts, before it happens movement in West Virginia. And they're partnering with the Betty Ford Foundation over in Hazleton, I think, and to create a drug-free environment, especially in schools and places like that. They're going to have peer leadership, and it's going to educate and empower, youth to make really healthy choices, especially fentanyl misuse and different things like that. So, 150,000 students in 167 schools is who they've reached so far. And if you want to talk about helping with Lakin's Law, which a lot of people probably haven't heard of that, but it mandates that fentanyl and opioid prevention education, and that needs to be happening. And on May 29, 2025, they had the 5th annual GameChanger Prevention Education Dinner at the Golf Classic at the Greenbrier and Golf Classic at the Greenbrier, where Tim Tebow, we all know who he is, Heisman Trophy winner, one of the most open Christian personalities out there, was advocating through his Tim Tebow Foundation and delivered the keynote address. And he puts together a really good. He's become an excellent public speaker. If you haven't heard him talk yet, emphasizing the importance of protecting youth from addiction, and praised GameChanger's mission to help bring real hope and solutions. And Nicco Marchiol, West Virginia's projected starting quarterback at this point in time, attended the event along with West Virginia players past and present, engaging with community leaders like Shelley Moore Capito, Joe Manchin. And so this is bipartisan, right? You're getting support from both sides on this, which you love to see, to support this critical cause in a state heavily impacted by opioids. So here's the thing, guys. First, I wanted to note this. Nicco Marchiol's presence at GameChanger means a lot to me personally, and I think it shows that he's stepping up above and beyond what is called to him as a West Virginia quarterback. And this goes beyond football, and this is a cause that matters deeply to West Virginia, but also to me. And the community impact here by supporting addiction prevention, you're contributing to the most critical issue in the state, in my opinion, especially in the area in which I live. And drug overdoses are such a concern, guys. And if you know anybody, that is struggling with addiction, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me or anybody like that. So I want to get a little more on a personal note here, because as a lot of you guys may or may not know, I am somebody that's in recovery. And I had to battle that for a very long time in my life. As a matter of fact, I think it started probably when I got out of the Marines, right around 2006 and seven. And I moved in with a group of friends that were already in active addiction. And unfortunately, I fell into that. And it's not their fault. I blamed them for a lot of years because as addicts, a lot of times you have to have somebody to scapegoat. And so I'm going to show you guys a picture of myself here, just to guys give you guys some context as to how dead of a person I was. I was a dead shell of a person, no doubt about that, who didn't even. I took this picture to send to an ex girlfriend of mine. I'll never forget this picture. I thought I looked good here. I really did. Um, so it just goes to show you me at 170 pounds. Um, what addiction can do. And, you know, it lasted so long for me. And it could have been so much easier, but I made it harder because I didn't want to deal with the issues at hand. And like they say in recovery, drugs weren't my problem, they were my solution. And I had to eventually realize that they were a solution to a problem that I couldn't fix with that solution. And I was the problem, right? That's what you eventually figure out is, it's like the old saying, you don't have a drinking problem, you have a thinking problem. And I did not understand that for a very long time. It took me years and years and years. And I talk about it all the time, but I went to, I think as far as I can tell, 13 inpatient rehab facilities, which were 4 to 6 months long apiece. Now, I didn't always stay that long, but I was there that long quite a few different times. I went to prison 4 different times. I am not proud of any of this. I never will be proud of any of this, but it is a part of my personal story and as a person who lived in the state of West Virginia and is in recovery over 5 years now, haven't touched anything for over 5 years. And I am proud of that. But the most important thing for me is to carry the message. I don't care if people leave the channel. I don't care if people hate me for it. I don't care if people say I bring it up too much. I don't care if people say that I use it to get some kind of sympathy. Has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with carrying the message to the sick and suffering addict at the end of the day. And it's preventing people from going down the same road that I went down. There are things that I go through that are major that I don't even talk about because it would be used against me publicly, right? So, and these are just things that I have health issues, different things like that I deal with because of the way I acted. And if there's, maybe someday I'll go into that stuff, but point is, you don't have to be me if you're sick and suffering out there. You don't have to worry about your teeth falling out. You don't have to worry about having any kind of diseases. You don't have to worry about going to prison, and you don't have to worry about going to the nut ward. You don't have to worry about being outside and sleeping outside like I did in Huntington, West Virginia for 9 months at a time. You don't have to worry about getting stripped completely naked with a gun to your head like I did. And you don't have to worry about breaking into people's houses to feed a drug habit. You don't have to worry about that. And so there are amends that I can't make. I would love to prevent people from having to have the weight of the guilt and the shame. Guilt and shame are two different things. They get lumped together a lot. Just remember that. Guilt is how I feel about what I've done to you, and shame is how I feel about myself. And I think while they do get lumped together as guilt and shame, you hear it a lot. Just always remember that. And if you can separate the two, it helps you maybe compartmentalize them a little bit better, because for me, I didn't know what was what for a long time. And so now I've gotten to a point to where I know what shame I carry. I know what guilt that I have. I know there are amends that I can't make. You can't go to the person whose house you broke into and say, I'm sorry. I was trying to survive, or I was trying to feed this habit, whatever it is, so I make, I all you can do at that point is do the next right thing. Right. And, my criminal history is open to anybody to look at. It's something I talk about openly. And it's something that, while I'm not ashamed of it, I do regret. Obviously, never would have wanted to put anybody through those things. Not that I killed anybody, but I hurt myself badly. So before we continue much further down that road, I just want to say thank you to Tim Tebow. I want to say thank you to Nicco Marchiol, who was very nice and reached out to me after I made the message earlier. Um, I think it means a lot, and it means a lot to Nicco, and it says a lot about who he is as a person. And this is something that I'll never forget, and probably um, always remember him for. And I just don't think he knows the good he's doing. Right? It gives me so much pride, and I would love nothing more. Nothing more. You guys know how I say all the time, I just have a feeling that if Nicco Marchiol were to win this job and be very successful, that he would stay. It's things like this that make me feel that way. Like he sent me a message, and I don't want to I don't want to say everything that happened or that he said, but one thing he said in the message that really made me happy was, I know this affects so many people in our state. You know, he could have said the state of West Virginia, and I probably wouldn't have blinked twice at it, wouldn't even thought about it. But when he made it his, he made that personal to me as well, even more. So I just want to say, if there's any of you, and this happens to me a lot, those of you that are in the chat know who you are that's reached out to me. But we have been able to help a couple of you get into rehab in the past. I have a feeling that some of them didn't always work out. One of the hard things to accept about addiction is that, you know, I was in, like I said, 13 different long-term inpatient rehabs. I would say at least 4 or 5 of those I went the distance on. We spent several years in rehab. One of the reasons why I have so much knowledge about it is because I went through it so many times, and learned and listened to other addicts. And so for me, I think finally getting the knowledge, and it's funny. I used to go back to rehab, and I would quote all this knowledge, and I would know all this stuff. And by knowledge, I mean what's in the books. And people would always say, Paul, you can quote it all, but you don't practice any of it. You're always coming back, And so it finally clicked for me one day to walk what I was talking, but it took a long time to do it. And I don't want anybody to ever have to go through 13 years of addiction like I did, which was, my escalation was, and then I'll go to break here. I moved in with some friends after the Marines that were already snorting pills. So my starting point was Oxycontin snorting, right? And that's a very fast track. Most people start out very small, like, drinking a beer or maybe smoking a joint. And I started out snorting Oxycontin, which is at the time was the most powerful pain medicine on the planet, and still would be I think it's illegal most places, but they still do give it out in like Mexico and other places. But so obviously the escalation from there was I did that for a long time, and obviously intravenous use came into play later down the line. And so fentanyl, obviously, which is the drug of the day that kills so many people, I have a lot of different stories I could tell about that I'm unfortunately not proud of. So, all I'm doing here is trying to carry the message. And I know those of you that are here for football probably don't care about this as much, and I totally understand it. So I want to thank you guys for letting me do this segment, because it does mean a lot to our state. And if you are in West Virginia, especially, you absolutely have been affected by this in some way, shape, or form. Whether somebody's maybe broken into your business, maybe somebody's broken into your car, maybe you have a family member that's died, or anything like that. Family member that's in active addiction. It touches us all now. 20 years ago, it didn't. And I'm here for you guys. If you ever, ever, ever need me to, and I will walk 1,000 miles to make sure you get the help you need. Promise. So I appreciate you guys for letting me talk on that. All right, guys, let's go to break really quick. And on the other side, West Virginia football looking at some big time possibilities in the high school ranks. And some of these dudes rank really highly. We got a 4-star guy to look at. What are the odds West Virginia can land some of these guys? Are they top 4, top 10? We'll talk about it, and we'll watch some film too. We like that. Stick around. This is Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by FanDuel, guys. And on this episode, we're going to talk about it because we know FanDuel is doing it big every year, but this year the NBA playoffs are in full swing, almost bigger and better than ever. And every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. And whether it's a game-winning shot, a breakout player, or more, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. And FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before and after tip-off. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Which players are showing up in the biggest moments, and how could tracking their trends help you win your next bet? Well, FanDuel wants you to give it a shot, and if you bet that first $5 bet, you win, you get $200 in bonus bets. And if you're new to FanDuel, it's okay too. Perfect time to sign up after all, and you can head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Do it with me today and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. It's segment 2. Let's crack this do, baby, and let's get into the thick of it as we talk about some players West Virginia is absolutely, positively interested in the high school ranks. So we're going to start with a big boy. And I'm getting this from Rivals, thanks to my friend Keenan Cummings, who does an excellent job over there. These are his articles. And so the first one says, West Virginia makes the top 12 for 4-star offensive lineman Deron Parks. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to watch Parks tape and get an idea for what kind of player he is and why is he a 4-star player. So let's get there. Uh-oh. Did I go to the wrong one? Nope, there it is right there. Okay. Well. Oh,
Gemini and Gmail.
Well, for this ad to be over with, guys. Sorry about that. I meant to have it ready to go, and I guess I just I must have clicked out of it or something there. Not exactly sure what happened. We'll get it blown up for you here. All right. So he's a big left tackle. Look at those feet. Holy cow. Look at him move out of his stance here. A big guy. I think it said he was 6'5", probably 340 here. I mean, goodness gracious. Look at him get out on the edge and make a play. That's impressive. No wonder he's rated 4 stars. I can see exactly why right away. Can you imagine this big SOB on the left side of the offensive line for West Virginia? Look how he's got to be. He must be bigger than 6'5". Oh, well, I love to see him finish that block. Here he is again. Boom. Yeah, this kid's got a lot of potential, man. Obviously really strong at the point of attack. At that size, he's going to be. Here he is playing against the number 1 defensive end in the country, 5-star player. And absolutely stonewalls him. Beats him on this, his spin move didn't quite work there, did it? Here he is again. That guy right there looks pretty good. He went up against as well. So he's got speed to get and agility to get to the outside against speed rushers. And there he is coming on inside, and just look at this guy. He's still going. Holy cow. Hold on a second. Look at this play. Hold on. I went back a little too far. I didn't go back far enough. Oh my gosh. What a play. This is very impressive. So here he is right here. He down blocks, and watch him take this kid out of the side of the end zone. He probably blocks him to 25 yards. This is a nasty football player. You know what I mean? Everybody else has done gave up on the play. He is still going, man. Love to see that. Here he is against an Ole Miss commit, number 5'8". And, yeah, he definitely did a good job there too. Pancake block. So this guy's played against elite competition week in and week out. There he is again, another pancake block. So, wow, man. Here he is again. And he loves to drive people out of the frame, doesn't he? Nasty football player, nasty disposition. You love to see it. Here he's against an agile player, just takes him down to the ground. Nice to see that. Quarterback makes a horrible throw there. So, definitely like this. I love this player, guys. And being in the top 12 is not exactly he's 6'5", 325. His top 12 is West Virginia, Ohio State, Georgia, Oregon, Florida State, Oklahoma, Auburn, Penn State, Mississippi, Nebraska, Kentucky, and Rutgers. So, it's going to be hard for us to win this battle here. I have to say, just being honest, you're up against Ohio State, Georgia, and Oregon, Oklahoma, Auburn, Penn State. Like, you're going to have to pay him, right? That's the way I look at it. If you're going to win the high school battles, and this is another point I want to make about this too for West Virginia. If you're going to win these high school battles like this, I think we have a better chance to outbid people for unestablished big-time high school athletes like this. But the thing is once they flourish, then you probably lose them anyway because it's just an effed up system for people like us these days, man. Let's go to another guy here. And for those of you in the comments saying thank you, I don't want to keep harping on the issue because I know there are people here for football, but, I just want to say Shaq, Matt, Daryl, Eric, and other people in the chat here, thank you. Heather, all you guys, thank you for coming in the chat and saying all that you've said. So, all right. So let's get on to the next guy here. And I think this is one that has a much better chance of ending up in West Virginia. And I've already watched his tape. I watched a couple games of this kid, and I've also got this cut up I was watching on here. And this kid here is very good. And, let's just go ahead and read the article first. So this is Coloulston Gaton, a 3-star, 6'1", 220-pound linebacker from Central Catholic in Pittsburgh. And, I'm sure he's probably got the typical offers, Pitt, Indiana, Duke, West Virginia, and Oklahoma, which is – it always sucks to see Oklahoma on there. But the reason Oklahoma's on there is because Zach Alley used to recruit him at Oklahoma. So, with that said, Zach Alley being our linebackers coach, you have to feel pretty good about our chances here. Let's see what he looks like. This is his junior season highlights. By the way, I really like this kid a lot. Here he is in the passing lane and intercepts the ball, and he's gone, man. And he's got some athleticism to him as well. From my vantage point, he's got some speed to him. He's got some athleticism, as you can see. He can look at the hit. You want to talk about stop and start and making a hit? He comes out, he breaks out his own coverage here. He gets the check down to the running back happens, and look at the break on the ball he gets and the hit he makes. Big time hit. Boom. Nasty hit. Love to see the intensity. Those are my kind of players. Here he is in coverage again. So this is a guy that excels in coverage, right? And got to have those. You got to have linebackers that can cover some. Here he is again in coverage, coming up and making a nice tackle. Here he is coming off the edge, changing direction. Excuse me, guys. I got the hiccups all of a sudden. Probably that dew. Here he is at linebacker. Here he is in coverage again. Watch him diagnose that play, guys. Let's go back a little here. So you see the middle backer here. Oh, looks like I may have not have went back far enough. I may not went back far enough. See, this kid's smart. We're going to go back. We're going to go back to the one play, see if I can find it again. Okay, maybe it's one more play back. I think it's this one of these two here. If not, we'll just move on. Not a big deal. Not the end of the world. I don't know where I've lost that play to, guys. You would think it would be easy not to lose one, but I sure as heck did somehow. Here he is coming off the edge. got motion his direction. And this is what you love to see, man. So obviously this guy's job is to set the edge. And you see the hands, great hands. Look at the leverage he's got. And as when the quarterback, it looks like the quarterback rolls back out. Watch him shed and attack. Shed, attack. You like to see that. He's a very technically gifted kid that has already got a lot of skills. Really doesn't need a lot to refine as a linebacker, in my opinion. At least from what I've seen so far. Now, if I watch more, I'm sure I'll find some things. But overall, I think this kid is one of those that could come in and make an impact by his redshirt freshman year or sophomore year easily. There's another play in coverage, you know. He's consistently good in coverage here, at least at this level of PA. I think he would be pretty good in college level too. He's got good but not great size, 6'1", 225. That seems to be about the size linebacker Zach Alley likes, where they're athletic enough to move around. I like this vantage point here. There he fills his gap, gets off the block, and makes the tackle. Very nicely done there, too. So, and there you saw he had the picture with Rich Rod. So this must be somebody that they're really recruiting hard, considering Zach Alley's recruited him in two different places now. Here he is on the edge. You got a backer in motion, it looks like, and he just destroys that. No chance of blocking him. I don't even think the kid really wanted to block him very much. I mean, it seemed like he just let him. Pretty crazy. Here he is here, and they shift. And it's a sweet play to his side, and he just outruns the block. Pretty easily done there. He outruns the tackle to the block. Yep. This will be a player, guys. I could absolutely see West Virginia performing well at West Virginia and possibly being a star for us someday. So we'll keep our eyes on Coloulston. What's his name again? Coloulston Gaton, big time player out of PA. All that star rating is at 5.7. I mean, I think he's one of those ones that, while his star rating isn't the best, I could absolutely see him turning into a really good player. No doubt about it. Let's go to break really quick. And on the other side, we got one more guy to look at, and then we'll wrap it up. Stick around. This is Locked On West Virginia. All right, guys, and we are back here, Locked On West Virginia in segment 3. So, I believe the last guy we're looking at here, Mason Wilhelm, big offensive lineman. So their uniforms look like the Green Bay Packers. Pretty cool. So here's Mason Wilhelm. Thank you to Keeman Cummings once again. Out of St. Edward. Oh, okay. So out of Westlake, Ohio. 6'4", 290 pounds. Set to take official visits to North Carolina this weekend, followed by West Virginia, June 6th to 8th. And then Pitt, June 12th. Maryland, June 20th. 3-star prospect. He said things have been very good with West Virginia. So he's already been to West Virginia once, and this is going to give him an opportunity to meet the players and get closer with the coaches. All right, so what does the tape say here? I've already seen some of it, but this is all I've seen on him. So we're kind of finding out together on this one. Not exactly sure which one he is yet. Okay, so he's the right tackle. All right. We'll see. We'll find out together. Stonewall's that guy for sure. And look, Ohio high school football is, I would say top 5, top 6 easily in the country. Some people at some years – they've got the best team in the country in high school football. When you get some of those places in Columbus and Cincinnati, they get some really good football teams there. Obviously, they've got a lot of kids in those schools. I mean, some of these schools in Ohio get up to 5,000, 6,000 kids, sometimes more. So they're like little college campuses. So here he is again. Nicely done. Love the feet there. So he's got some agility to his game here, as you can see. Watch him shuffle. Shuffle. Nice little move there, and pancakes his guy. Here he is on the right side. So he moves around a bit too. I've seen him play a couple different positions But here he is riding his guy all the way out of bounds. Well, he probably would have went that far. Here he is again, very strong at the point of the tackle on that play. So I can see what the upside is on this kid. He's got good size. Don't know what he projects as. Would he stay at tackle? Would he play guard? I don't know, but he is the right size player, especially for what the Rich Rod and everybody wants to do. That 6'4", 290. West Virginia on the offensive line is, at least during Rich Rod's first run, that's right around the size almost everybody was 6'3", 6'4", 290. Nobody real huge a lot of the time, and just like smaller athletic players in a lot of cases. So this kid's got some game as well, man. And there he is making a nice turn inside and a block, and you can see he's nasty with it. He likes to get dirty in there. The first kid, Parks, we saw is super. It's hard to compare to anybody to him after watching his tape. But, I mean, as you can see here, this kid's got some nastiness to him. Definitely some talent there for a big 6'4". Whoa, that was pretty. I always like plays like this where you get to see some start and go. Watch him starting his stop motion thing kind of going right here. You can see his athleticism on play right here. Yep. I like the quick movements. It gives you an idea. Here's up close in your house. And that's nice. So he gets a pretty good first step here. 13's obviously quick. So trying to get this back to where we can see it again. So watch this first step. So he gets off first. Very quick first step here. He's moving first. And that helps him get this angle. The ball's coming to his side, and he does a really good job with the running back's help, it looks like here in a second. But this kid has no shot. Nicely done. He's strong, too. I mean, you see him get his hands on guys. And he does a pretty good job roping them in. There's a number 20, a really quick player, trying to get in on him, no shot. So he does a good job in almost all phases, it looks like here. I believe, let me make sure before I tell a lie here, but let me look up and see where Westlake, I think Westlake is D1 in Ohio, but let me make sure. They're Division II. Okay, so D2 in Ohio is still really good. Better than a lot of places, D1, really. So lots of these guys, man, are certainly capable of coming in and helping West Virginia. We love to see it. So we'll see what happens with them. Absolutely. See if Rich Rod and company can get these guys pulled in. But it was a fun episode to do. I appreciate you guys for letting me do it. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate you guys so much for all the kind words. And it's not about me, by the way. It's about helping the sick and suffering addict, the sick and suffering family of the addict, and all that. That's what I'm about. So if you know anybody that's suffering out there that needs help, please point in my direction, and I will do everything in my power to get them help. I know lots of people in the recovery communities around Huntington, West Virginia, around West Virginia in general. Actually, one of my best friends owns a very big place called Recovery Point. I wouldn't say my best friends, but somebody I'm very friendly with owns. Sometimes you just get to saying things, but he's somebody I'm friends with, owns Recovery Point, which is a very big recovery place he doesn't own it. He's the director of it in West Virginia. And it's a very strict one, by the way. They're very strict with the consequences, but still the heart's in the right place there. And there's places in Ohio too that I know about because I've done a lot of rehab in Ohio. I've done a lot of rehab in Kentucky. So, you name it, I've probably been there. If you guys know anybody that needs help, absolutely holler at me, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, guys, this episode of Locked On West Virginia is over, and I'm out of here. I'll see you guys later. If I can find the off switch. There it goes.